Hi, this is Odeean here. Today I'm having a look at FansProject Warbot Revolver Core. So I'm not going to dwell too much on the box because we've all seen how great those boxes are before. But basically here is everything you get minus instructions and whatnot. And does look pretty cool straight out of the box. Warbot Revolver Core is FansProject's take on G1 Deluxe Autobot Roadbuster. Now, there have been a few iterations of Roadbuster over the years. I've got to say, this is one of the best of them, although not my favourite. Let's have a little look at the other ones that I've got. Here is what I just mentioned, the Deluxe Autobot Roadbuster, and this guy is my favourite. Maybe nostalgia, but I think mainly from play value. When I was a kid, this guy, he just had so much armor and bits and pieces that went on and off. I had endless fun with him, and I would really love a reissue, an encore of this guy, so I could get one without these wrecked paint apps. But, you know, Revolver comes pretty close, because later on when I get to the gimmick of how the smaller robot, the core robot, goes inside as a Jeep, that almost trumps what this guy does in armor, so they're pretty close. A little bit of trivia here. This bit on the back, this is the most important part of Roadbuster. If you are a G1 collector and trying to get a good Roadbuster, getting one with this included is going to cost you a packet. So I'm quite pleased to have that. Let's stand them up straight so you can see that they are virtually the same height. The color palette isn't really identical. Got more of a tan on the orange on Revolver Core compared to a straight out orange on Roadbuster, and I haven't put any stickers on this guy either, so it's lacking Autobot symbol there. But you can see, although the heads aren't the same, you can tell who it's meant to be. The G1 version did have all these armor panels which can come off down here as well. Even this big backpack, the rocket launcher, plenty of stuff. And the reason it's important to bring that up is that there is another set of figures coming out which are almost the same as this guy, just remolds, which include add-on armor pieces for this Revolver Core. I haven't decided if I'm going to be getting them yet, and that's mainly because I don't want to buy from FansProject Core, but if they become more widely available, I'm strongly tempted to get those, because I wouldn't mind having add-on armor pieces for this guy. Here's my least favourite version of Roadbuster. Now, this guy is a repaint of the upgraded Transformers Cybertron Hotshot. So Hotshot came out with this mould after he was redone. It's like a hardcore weapon mode. It can pop open. We've got missile pods, missile spam pods in the shoulders. His shins flip around, missile spam in there. I liked this mould for Hotshot, and I thought it was a pretty awesome upgrade. Even carries a melee weapon, like a dagger here. These can split open, I think, more missile pods. I'm not going to do it, but you get the picture. He's pretty hardcore armoured, so I see the reason they went with him as a Roadbuster. But the main thing that is wrong with this guy is the execution is really piss poor. If you look at the face, the painting on the face is too thick, and it's the colours are too similar, and the detail is kind of lost. If they had given him a more G1 remoulded head, then it would have made a really good version of Roadbuster, just because of the weapons all over the place. But they chose to cheap out and not go that way. Now, he actually came with another figure. It was a 2-pack. I think his pack-in buddy was Ratbat, made from Noise Maze. So I did pick them up just because I like the characters, if not the execution so much. But yeah, he's definitely my least favourite Roadbuster. Next up in my kind of history of Roadbuster is a Chukokun Mugen caliber. So the original Roadbuster was based off Japanese Mugen caliber, and this is kind of a more modern take on that. He doesn't come with an Autobot sticker. I've just put that on there. You can see that's why it's peeling off. Now, this guy would be my favourite. Hands down, I feel like he looks the best. But the problem is he's not the right colours, and they've never made it an official version of this in the right colours. I've seen some really awesome customs on Radicons of guys who've painted this up, but I'm not a big painter of figures, and I think if I did it, it just wouldn't be that good anyway. So if I ever get the opportunity to have this in G1 colours, then he will hands down take the cake as being #1 Roadbuster for me, because that's the way I think he's supposed to look, and it has pretty good articulation. I mean, check out these elbows. That's pretty good elbow articulation. Ratcheted shoulders, nice bit of movement on the head, ratcheted hips, knees a bit limited, and we don't get much in and out, but I really like the way he looks. He also has the armor deal here. Bits of armor can come off. His gun can come out of the backpack. These missile, I don't know what you call them, are these anti-tank grenades or something? I think they can go into the end of his rifle. So this is a really awesome set, and I got this, actually I was going to say I paid 108. I didn't pay 108. My dad bought me this as a present. Thanks, Dad, that's awesome. How does Revolver Core stack up against him? Well, he's about the same size. Obviously he's a little bit better in colour, but this is the direction I'm liking. So I would have preferred if they put more effort in getting their head to look more like this head, just because that's how he is in my mind. But you know, Revolver Core still looks pretty cool in his own right, but leaning away from the Roadbuster aesthetic, not really into it. Now I need to go off on a little bit of a tangent while I'm in these comparisons. So original Deluxe Autobots were not only Roadbuster but Whirl. I love Whirl. He's a fantastic G1 Transformer. I also have 2 of him. This is my best one, even though he's a little bit beat up. The other one's all yellow. It's important to remember that these guys kind of belong together. Now we've got a, let's put him aside. We've got a Voyager class Whirl that's recently come out in the mainline Transformers, and I'm really happy with that too. I really like Whirl. I think he's fantastic. Revolver Core fits in really nice with Generations Whirl, and I don't know if it's coincidence or they had some knowledge on what's coming out, but it's just really fortunate that these 2 guys came out at the same time, because now we can have them both on the shelf displaying together. Although I think he needs some red paint on his eye, because light piping is pretty shit there, but that's so cool, and I'm so happy to have these 2. Let's get down to business, what this guy can actually do. So you can see, let's start with the weapons. He's got a really nice looking pistol there. FansProject always do a great job on the weapons, I'll give him that. A little bit reminiscent of the Warbot Defender pistols, who I might pull out at the end just for a bit of comparison. Obviously these come out of the hands, but they can also join with other things. So here we've got, it can be used as a kind of gun, but it can also connect in like this to make a shoulder mounted rocket launcher. That's pretty nice looking. You've got a few choices here. You can mount it in the shoulder, as I said, like that, or you can hold it in his hand. In vehicle mode, there's a couple of places you can put that as well. The other pistol can join with this thing here to make a rifle. So again, he can hold that in his shoulder, or he can hold it in his hand. Now the original Roadbuster had kind of half a gun here, and it just was a bit of a missed opportunity that we couldn't attach half the gun there, because he always had that half gun, and everyone kept thinking, I wish you could pull that gun out and stick it in his hand. At least we do get the same idea with the gun splitting, but I would have liked to have been able to mount it on the lower leg. That would have been pretty cool. But they are good guns. Now, as I said, the add-on sets from the 2 companion pieces to this are going to add more weapons. I would love to be able to show those. I don't have those at the moment. The plastic is typical FansProject plastic. So as I move it in the light there, you can see it's a little bit rough, a little bit matte. Good quality, but they have a choice. They always go with something which is not high gloss, and you know what, most of the time I'm pretty happy with it. I'm happy with it on this guy. There are a few instances of it where I'm not, but this is not one of them. For articulation, we've got shoulders that go around like this. We've got a kind of outwards shoulder here, but apart from that we also have more outwards shoulder here. Bicep swivel, movement at the elbow. Unfortunately, we've got backwards elbow, which is not so great. Now, probably the weakest point of the whole toy, the thing that annoys me the most, is there is no lock in this transformation joint. So I often play with him and find that his wrist has gone out to the side, looking like he's broken his wrist, which is an unfortunate look and could really easily have been fixed, I think. So it's a bit slack that they didn't do that. For an otherwise good figure, I'm not going to hold it against it, but I feel that is a bit poor. We've got swivel at the waist, backwards and forwards, in and out at the hip, swivel above the thigh. We've got a double jointed knee, which is good for posability, but I think that, again, this is, I don't know, I'm not going to say laziness because they take a long time and a lot of effort to make these figures. I'm going to say poor judgment, because any transformer where you can bend the leg like that is a bit of a bad decision, and I don't think that robot toys should be able to do that unless it's got a lock or it is essential for transformation. I think that's a bit unfortunate, and you know, as the friction gets looser on this guy, his legs are going to fall into that position, and that's a bit poor. Moving down here, we've got ankle tilt kind of front parts of the feet, backwards and forwards. So he's pretty well endowed when it comes into the posability. This is Revolver core, so there's a core robot. I don't have Steelcore because, again, their bastard marketing techniques, only selling it through FansProject Core initially, just put me off and made me not buy it. But thank God this guy was more widely available. To get to the core robot, we simply bend that out, grab a hold of him, and there we go. Now, as far as I understand, he's identical to Steelcore. To transform, just kind of split him, fold back, bring out the head and rotate it around. He's a very nice little robot. The materials are not 100%. You can see that there's been some warping when it comes out of the mold, meaning that his groin doesn't join together properly. No matter how much you're going to push it in, it will always be split. That's a bit unfortunate, and I feel like if this was done by Perfect Effect, it would have come out better. And I'm not saying that they didn't know how to design it, but I think that their choice of plastic has got something to do with that. But apart from that, he's pretty good. He's got kind of ball joints at the shoulders, an elbow joint here, which is pretty cool. And probably the best thing is goggles on the top of his head. I love that. Goes well with the Jeep mode because he drives around without a top on his truck. So wearing goggles would be a really practical thing. For a comparison, here's Revolver core with Warden. And they're about the same size, but definitely Warden is really crisp. And when I look at Warden in the head form, it's hard to get scale on him because he's made so well that whether he's big or small is kind of hard to tell. But definitely Revolver core, you can tell the scale by his materials. He's turned a little bit spongy and a little bit less crisp. So a thing or two they could still learn there. I mean, look at that. There is really a big difference. Check out those materials. Perfect Effect, they're the kind of the king of that. This is where they started, and they're still really excelling at small figures. Let's see if I can continue and transform this guy. So I think what I'll do now is just bend that around, tab that together, pull the chest up. Now this panel in the chest, you can slide it down. That's going to let the head move more forward like this. Let's fold these arms around. What we want to do is line up this gap because that's going to kind of lock in there like this. You can see it tabs together. Bend that wheel section out. Let's leave that out like that for a moment. One thing I forgot to do here is rotate the fist around. We want to get it so that the fist is facing towards that orange thing. That's important later on. Let's start like that on this side now. Let's bend that around. Get it up into that tab. Fold out the wheel. Next, we want to get these feet into that kind of position there. On the other side, bend this right backwards like that. Move the track into the front. Orient it in that position. Get these arms, make sure they're nice and straight. Rotate them like this. Fold them together. These two panels up at the top here are going to tab together at this stage and bend forward. Before I go right way, I'm going to bend out these windows so that I can actually access them from this position. I'm going to fold these together. The windows and the top panel here kind of tab. Just be a bit gentle, we don't want to bend those windows too much. Bend this down and just get it in the right spot. That's the bonnet of the car now. Now this is all going to just fold up into this direction. What have I done here? Your feet have got to be like this. I showed it a little bit wrong a second ago, but that's the position they've got to be in. Now, one thing that's a little bit hard, if you look in there, you can see this tab. It's got a snap in, and it really will make a snap in sound. I find it a bit tricky to do. Let's see if I can do it now. I feel bad putting a lot of force on it, but if you don't put that force, it kind of won't do it. Like it's not doing it yet. I haven't got it to work. If you try to avoid it by just tabbing the toes in, you end up with this wrong configuration at the back where it's apart. There's one. You hear that? One snapped in. There's the other one. Okay, that's right now. So kind of maybe put the toes in first and then put pressure on the sides just to force it in afterwards, and it should all be straight after that. Once you turn it back up to the other side, all that's left to do is flip up these panels and tab them in, and then one last thing, grab the seat and bend it up. So that's it. That's Revolver Core in his truck Jeep mode. Pretty awesome. Let's get this little guy and put him into a bit of a sitting position. And he can fit right on in there. Depending on how far you can make him sit lower or higher. I like to make him sit high enough so that he's kind of visible, but if you prefer to push him right down there so his face is behind the windscreen, you can definitely do that. As I said, I don't like him that way. I like him to be up a little bit more. He looks so awesome. Let's get the weapons and plug them in. So most importantly, we get the two pistols, and how are these going to go together? The other way, like this. They can tab together like that and form one solid block. And as I said before, the fists have to be pointing forward. That's important, and that's because if you plug those pistols in, now he's got a big bumper there. Onto the side, we can mount this rocket launcher. And the other side, we can mount the gun. Alternately, you could mount the gun in here. It's a little bit of a tight fit, but yeah, it does fit. But I think it's really meant to go into the side like that. Now, here's a half track. These tracks don't roll. They're just for show. They look pretty nice, but they don't roll at all. There's no rolling component. The front wheels are kind of okay. I'm a bit surprised they didn't put some kind of wheel in there so that he can move. But I guess being a collectible piece, not a toy, the movement wasn't in the forefront of their mind. It's pretty awesome. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's modern, it's futuristic, it still harkens back to the original design. I do like it. Let's do a comparison. So the original Roadbuster is about the same size in vehicle mode. If you look inside here, there's a little seat and a steering wheel. This is not Diaclone. I don't think this was Diaclone, but there are some little figures that went with my Chukokun version, so maybe the old one had some little figures as well. I'm not 100% sure on that. But Revolver Core is a nice update on that. It looks pretty cool. And there were ways to mount armor on this guy So you could put this gizmo here, and then or even this one, you could attach that in there. So I guess that the new armor that we're going to get to add on to this guy is referencing this as well in vehicle mode. If you've got other FansProject sets with little figures like the Headmasters, here we've got code. There's a little bit of interoperability. You can pull out Revolver core and stick code in there, but he's a little bit undersized. I mean, if you put him into a sitting position, he can go right down too low into that cockpit, so it's not really meant to go together. You could have a little bit of fun with it. The other way around is you're never going to get the cockpit closed on code with Revolver core in the cockpit, so they're not really meant to go with each other. You could do it. As far as the guns go, if I pop off the cannon from the side there, trying to plug code's gun won't work. It's a different size peg, and the one at the top, you can kind of try and force it, but again, it doesn't really fit in there. So different designers, different goals, they don't really go together, but they do look okay together. My final thoughts: I think this, for the price, is a good set. I think about approximately $90, I think, is what it's going for. I think for $90, it's a good release. It fits in well with other stuff FansProject have done. It fits in well with my collection. It's not a definitive Roadbuster. I'm still waiting for a better Roadbuster. So technically, I guess I shouldn't have bought it because I sort of knew that going in. But it looked like a lot of fun with the core robot, which is kind of what got me to buy it. And it is a lot of fun with the core robot. I can have tons of cool games with this, nice pictures. So in that respect, it is worth getting. But if you look at the other side of the coin with this guy, there's a few mistakes in here. I brought them up: backwards bending knees, no locking in the wrists, no clicky joints. The friction will eventually get loose. It's like there hasn't been progress. So it seems that these figures that are pretty good, FansProject have been pumping out, haven't moved forward at all, while other figures out there, like who have I got? This guy, for example, stuff from Mastermind Creations and, you know, a few other companies, they've been making leaps and bounds in what they do to advance the third-party kind of toy business, whereas FansProject is just doing the same old stuff. So although it looks good, I feel like they're falling behind a little bit, and although it doesn't sell me on this figure, I do like this figure. It is making me wary of buying more FansProject stuff. Now, I do have another figure which I might have popped up in a video before. This guy is a different story, and the wariness is kind of paid off with Motormaster, but we'll get to him later on. So as far as Revolver core is concerned, I can recommend it. I think it's good value. It is a bit of a dick move selling the companion pieces to this through FansProject core and nowhere else. It does nothing except infuriate me, and I mean, I try to buy a lot of FansProject stuff. You'd think that they want my money, but obviously they prefer to make things exclusive and play fans off against each other in a game of like who can get this stuff. I don't want to be exclusive. I think it's not just that company. When BBTS try to make exclusive deals where the only one who can distribute a figure, I think it hurts everybody, and I'm not happy with how that's gone. So I won't be getting the other two of these unless they become available somewhere else, which is kind of disappointing because I really like them. The money isn't really the issue, although they are a bit too expensive, but it's the exclusivity, and I really strongly disagree with that, and I wish FansProject would stop doing that exclusivity with FansProject core, because they're not really related to each other anyway, so why have this pretense? But apart from that, this is a great figure. Go out and buy it. This has been my video review for Revolver core. I'm odeean. Thank you for watching.